Matt Green, Sports Information Director at Shorty University, and welcome to SUHawkVision. Today we'll talk Shorty University Hawk football with Offensive Coordinator Tim Mathis and Defensive Coordinator Mike Bartik. Shorty University Assistant Head Coach and Offensive Coordinator Tim Mathis joins me now. Tim, thanks for coming by.
Glad to be here.
Tim, this is a big year for you. You're making a transition. You've been the offensive line coach here for a while, and this year you'll be the offensive coordinator. Talk about that transition, how it's gone for you.
It's gone real smoothly. The biggest thing is it's a huge honor that Coach Jones, asked me to become the offensive coordinator. It hadn't been much of an adjustment. It's more a time management issue than anything, getting the schedules ready and doing the practice schedule and just making sure all my T's are crossed and I's dotted as far as knowing what the entire offense is supposed to do. But I've been around the offense a while, so as far as the plays go, it hadn't been that big of an adjustment.
Well, you're taking over the reins of an offense that's led the nation in rushing the last 2 years. You've been a big part of that as the offensive line coach. But this year, for the first time in 4 years, you guys are going to line up without All-American A.J. Cooley at fullback. Talk a little bit about that transition, because that is a transition, and maybe some of the players that have stepped up to fill that role.
Right. It wasn't, you would think any other year you looked at us with losing really 2 starters on offense, you'd think it'd be a great year. But to replace A.J. is going to be obviously a guy that's been All-American, and it's been everything for us. It's a huge thing to replace. But we've got 3 great freshmen that have come in and a returner, Octavius Edge, that's here, and then the 3 freshmen, Kenny Foster, Carlos Davis, and C.J. Scott, that are all right now. We're a week away from playing. They're still fighting for the starting job. We got 4 people battling out, and I think we're going to be, when it's all said and done, I think we're going to be okay there.
Well, I got your 2 deep a couple of days ago from Paul Pitts, and the one spot that was empty was fullback, and right. I know you guys have a tough decision there, a lot of talented players, and you mentioned your 9 returning starters. One of those guys is Ben Williams. Of course, you guys run the option. Very important to have a very heady, smart, experienced quarterback to run that offense, and you have Ben Williams. Had a great year last year, rushed for over 700 yards, passed for over 700 yards. What does it mean to have someone like Ben captain that offense?
It's invaluable because of the fact that he's coming in as a 3-year starter, that losing AJ, but having your signal caller back that's been there a while, he takes a huge leadership role, and he's such an intelligent kid, and he doesn't usually put us in a bad situation, and that's probably his biggest asset is his way he comprehends the offense and is able to think through the offense. He's a gutsy player, and he's just consistent, and it really helps at that position. Running our offense, option offense, is having somebody that's really intelligent and consistent.
Well, someone else that's been consistent for you has been Antoine Appleton. He was a first-team all-conference player last year, had a ridiculous yards per carry, averaged about 8 yards per carry. He's only a junior this year, which is good news for you guys, but his role is going to have to increase probably. What are you going to expect from Antoine this season?
To be honest, we just continue to do what he has been doing, and he will be a big. Obviously, some other people on offense are going to have to step up. Where we might have relied on AJ a little more last year, obviously we're going to have to rely on other players, and Antoine's going to be a big cog in our offense. Of relying on him because he's been there, he's battle tested, and he's a quiet. I like to call him a quiet warrior because he won't say a word, but he is a great competitor, a great competitor.
You also have some good competitors on the offensive line. Of course, that's your bread and butter. And this year, maybe different from last year, you have an experienced group coming back. You have an all-conference player and Nick Newborn kind of anchoring that group. And what makes that group so special? What's going to make them so important to this year's team?
I think, and when I was dealing with it, and Coach Pitts had been with me a while, who's taking it over now, it's really just the way they come together and play as a unit. And that is one area where we lost. Our other starter was from the offensive line, but we were able Sam Robinson, who's going to step in for Caven, who graduated, played. He rotated in a 3-man rotation, so technically we really didn't lose anybody because Sam played so much. But they play together. They're so unselfish, and they're not worried about if their name's in the paper or anything. They really have bought into what we're doing offensively, and they believe in it, and they love playing in the offense. And it's fun to watch film with them a lot of times because, you know, they do stuff that nobody in the stands is ever watching them do. But some of the blocks that they make are, you know, it's fun to watch. But they truly do play like they love one another and don't want to let each other down.
Well, that's a tribute to you, I know, in your coaching over the last few years.
I appreciate it.
And last question, I know you've been here for a while. You guys had 182 kids on check-in day.
Right.
That first day of practice, when you walk out to Ben Brady Field and you see 180 plus kids out there, what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was I don't know how we're going to function. I don't know where we're going to stand. It really made it apparent with the freshman orientation yesterday. We had them all missing. Is wow, how much space was taken up, because when they all came out and we stretched for the first time from goal line to goal line, there were kids, and it's a blessing for the school, but it's kind of a nightmare logistically. But we have been able to work it out. It's interesting with 180 out there.
Well, I've been out there a couple times and watched y'all practice, and somehow, some way, you have that thing so organized, you really can't tell there's that many guys on the field. So that's a tribute to you. Well, Coach, I appreciate you stopping by. Congratulations again on the promotion, and good luck this season.
Thanks a lot.
And we look forward to watching your guys out there.
Good.
It's been Matt Green with Tim Mathis. Shorty University Executive Associate Head Coach and Defensive Coordinator Mike Bartik joins me. Thanks for coming by, Coach.
Glad to be here, man.
All right, did I get that title right? Executive Associate Head Coach?
Defense coordinator was good enough.
All right, good. Well, Coach, you've been the head of this defense for a while now, and you've had a very successful run, a successful group. In 2008, you guys led the Mid-South in total defense. Last year, you had an excellent group. This year, you're going to line up with that All-American Logan Lawless for the first time, but I know you have a few guys that can fill that void. Just talk a little bit about Garrett Hochstetler in particular and Daniel Hazard.
Garrett Hochstetler, he came as a walk-on and has just done a good, solid job. He's a very, very consistent football player, good leader, high character young man, and I'm expecting some very good things out of Garrett. Daniel Hazard's probably an undersized outside linebacker, but he's got excellent feet and a huge heart, and just has the ability to make plays. So I'm looking forward to both those kids really stepping up this year.
Okay, maybe one question mark entering this season was your secondary. I know you guys really worked hard on the recruiting trail to bring in some athletes, some guys that could contribute right away. Who have you found so far that stepped up during camp?
We've got Spencer Bragg has done a good job. He seems to be the leader right now, in the secondary. At corners, we have a couple transfers. Mason Strickland, who's done a good job. Brandon Goss on the other side, but there's also some young kids that could step up in there. We're still out there competing, and I got to get the best players on the field. So the competition's still going, and will continue.
Your first two games this year are against a great NCAA Division II team, West Alabama, and then against a new program, but a Division I program in Georgia State. How are those two games going to prepare your guys for a tough Mid-South schedule?
Well, no matter what the outcomes of those games are, we're going to get some great experience, and of course we want to go in and win the football games. But the experience right now is what we need as a defensive unit. We've got some talented guys, but they're untested. Under the game-like situation, they got to get that experience, and it'll go a long way for us. And look forward to playing both those teams.